From Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
For the record. For the record.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, O land of soft, fresh breezes and verdant trees, so fair. Today is Wednesday, the 23rd day of August 2023, right here in the beautiful Cayman Islands. We hope and we trust that everyone had a restful, peaceful, enjoyable evening. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road. Remember, the life you save may be your own. The forecast is for us to have more rain, so you also want to be extremely cautious when it comes to the rain if you are on the roads as well. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday. Or if you've celebrated one over the past few days, a belated happy birthday to you as well. And to remind you that this segment of the For the Record birthday shoutouts proudly brought to you by Pizza Boat. Pizza Boat, they are now open on Queens Court on West Bay Road. So folks, hop on board the Pizza Boat Express. Pizza Boat. They make pizza even more fun. You can pick up or you can have your orders delivered. Call 949-0000 or order online via www.pizzaboat.ky. For those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to express our sincere condolences to you. We hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these extremely challenging times and that the memories of your loved ones will be a blessing to you as well. Two most recent passings that we want to mention. Mr. William Connolly, want to express our condolences to his family, and Miss Valma Hugh, also to Mr. Lenny and all of his family, including Member of Parliament, Mr. Joey Hugh, as well. For those of you who are ill and are either at home or at a medical facility here in the Cayman Islands or overseas, we wish you a speedy recovery. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and, by extension, For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. During that period, our phone lines are open. Again, this morning, it is that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson waiting to take your calls. We also want to forewarn you that we are still experiencing some technical difficulties as a result of lightning strikes yesterday, so we apologize for that, and there may be limited access to Radio Cayman this morning as well. So we want to point that to you. How many phone lines we have? That only 2 phone lines that are working at this point in time. So we just want to remind you of that. But just to remind you that our toll-free number, normally, when it's working, 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037, 949-6990. Email us, For the Record, one word, For the Record, at candw.ky. Of course, WhatsApp is going in and out. Wi-Fi is going in and out as well. But we're doing our best with it. You can follow us on YouTube. You do that simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. Don't forget we are on Facebook as well. And again, to remind you that this segment of the For the Record birthday shout-outs proudly brought to you by Pizza Boat. They are now open in Queens Court on West Bay Road, so hop on board the Pizza Boat Express. Pizza Boat makes pizza even more fun. You can pick up or you can have your orders delivered as well. Simply call 949-0000 or order online via www.pizzaboat.ky. So let's see, as far as celebrating birthdays are concerned, yesterday, Miss Seneca Ebanks celebrated her birthday. KJ Marva also celebrated her birthday. Miss Marva Scott celebrated her birthday yesterday. And Sydney Jackie Ebanks also celebrated a birthday yesterday. And that was on Monday. And of course, because of our technical difficulties that we're having, we don't have any birthdays for today as well. Okay, yes, we do have one birthday today, and all I have to do is find that paper that Miss Susan gave me, and is that Sandra Whitaker for today? Today, Sandra Whitaker, we believe, is celebrating a birthday today. But if you know someone who's celebrating a birthday, send it in to us. Hopefully, with the technical issues that are being experienced, we will have a way of receiving that from you as well. So this morning, it is my pleasure to have in the studio with me Dr. Steve McField. And then after the 8 o'clock news, we will also have guests in the studio. Several ministers of government will be in the studio. Will be in the studio with us as well. So we urge you to don't change that dial. Stay tuned to Radio Cayman. After the 8 o'clock news, we will have guests. Meanwhile, I want to say good morning to Dr. Steve McField, introduced him, and then we're going to go off to our first commercial break. Doc, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. For the Record, and good morning to all your listeners in For the Record, For the Record land, and all the people who in the Cayman diaspora, and those who listen to you Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Morning. Thank you for asking me back.
How did you manage with the weather yesterday?
I stayed in. I was in court early in the morning, and when I got back to my office, I stayed in until 7, 8 o'clock last night. So I didn't go home until around 8 o'clock last evening. Mm-hmm. I want to take this opportunity to send condolences to my cousins who lost their mother, Miss Onisha McField, my cousins, Dr. Frank, Beulah, Gloria Nixon, McField Nixon, and all of those other cousins out there who are mourning the loss of their parents and grandparents this morning, and certainly they will be in the future celebrating her life. And so I wanted to send my greatest condolence from me and my family to their families.
Yes. And she certainly was another fixture in Georgetown and secondary grammar school where we were located, secondary modern, and of course the famous Top Star bar and restaurant, as well. And extremely active when it came to education. Again, she was also one of the driving forces behind us, behind the effort that resulted in the school being built there.
Elementary school at the end of McFee's Lane.
Yeah. Yes. So we certainly want to extend, our condolences to the McField family as well. Folks, we're going to take our first commercial break. Please stay tuned. For the Record, we'll be back shortly.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital, always there for you. Call 949-6066. And by the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey. Visit gov.ky/steps to learn more. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
Mary Genevieve Bawden, 1914 to 1992.
Ms. Genevieve was a dedicated Sunday school teacher and Cub Scout captain. She was active in the Christian Endeavor Society of the Presbyterian Church. When she passed her first examination in Jamaica, she began teaching under the guidance of Mr. T.F. Hill. She left the government school system for a time and ran a private school in her home from 1930 to 1944. She received higher education in Jamaica and in New Zealand, Barbados, and Wales. Ms. Genevieve served as head teacher in the government schools in West Bay, Northside, and Savannah, and also taught in Cayman Brac and Georgetown. When she retired, she was executive officer in the Department of Education.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
Through the Rotary Club of Cayman Brac, on behalf of the District Governor David Kirkcaldy, we, Rotary Central, the Rotary Clubs of the Cayman Islands and the Lions Clubs community, join our sister islands, Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, pausing to pay our respects to salute the passing of a citizen of note. This humble, gentle, genteel man of committed determination toward good, this engineer, photographer, Morse code and wireless operator, pioneer in the development of Cayman telecommunications, devout Christian, church elder, entrepreneur, patriarch of Tibbetts Enterprises at Cotton Tree Bay, pillar of Sister Island social and business development, a storyteller, Brac historian, D. Bernard Tibbetts, Mr. Bernard, this man of Caymanite resolve, this giant now rests. Our heartfelt condolences to Miss Vernice, James, Jonathan, Paul, Matthew, the Tibbetts family, and our Sister Islands community. Mr. Bernard, you have left this path much better than you found it. Rest in peace.
A few drops of blood. That's all we're asking for Step 3 of the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey. These will help to measure the national prevalence of raised blood sugar and cholesterol, which will shape our healthcare services, our interventions, our prevention and education programming. Help us shape Cayman's healthcare services. Say yes to Step 3. For more information, contact the STEPS team on 936-4969.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Stop kicking that old washer or dryer and stressing out. Brand Source Home Gallery is having an August laundry sale. Save up to 15% on all brands. That's right, save up to 15% on GE, Samsung, LG, Beko, Frigidaire, Electrolux, and even heavy-duty commercial washers and dryers, both gas and electric. Shop Brand Source Home Gallery in August and find the island's largest selection of washers and dryers and save during the August laundry sale. Visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park or call 623-5000.
Introducing Digicell's all-new prepaid plans. Packed with more any-use data than ever before. Entertainment data for the apps you love, like Netflix, Spotify, YouTube, and TikTok. Plus, endless social data for Snapchat, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So you're always in the know. Stay connected. Stay entertained with Digicell's new prepaid plans. Activate in the My Digicel app today. Digicel. Better connected.
All aboard the Pizza Boat! Cayman's newest pizzeria. Birthday parties, office luncheons, summer camps, game night. Whatever your occasion, bring the fun with Pizza Boat. A Cayman twist to pizza. Bringing fusion ingredients from all over the globe to give you locally inspired fresh pizzas all day, every day. What's more, now you can enjoy a boat-shaped pizza with toppings of your choice. It's Pizza Boat. Pizza Boat, now open in Queens Court on West Bay Road. Pick up or delivery 949-0000 or order online www.pizzaboat.ky. Pizza Boat. Experience the ultimate pizza voyage.
System 1 loaded. 1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve McField. We want to share this advisory bulletin that was just issued by the Department of Education Services, and it relates to the student orientation. So it says that the student orientation session scheduled for today, 23rd of August, will proceed as planned. The Department of Education Services has not received any reports of adverse weather conditions, and based on the information we have available, we believe it is safe to go ahead with the session. So the student orientation sessions that were scheduled for today, they will still be held. No indications of any adverse weather conditions. And based on that information, the Department of Education Services have determined that the orientation sessions will proceed. So I just wanted to pass that on to you, those of you parents or guardians who may be on the road with your children, or if you are contemplating or if you're uncertain as to what is taking place. Yes, those orientation sessions will take place. Doc, we have about 6 minutes before we go to our news. Not sure if you have anything in particular. If not, in 1967, round about the 17th of August, 1967, there was the Legislative Assembly had a special meeting to remove members of Executive Council. You recall, you remember that?
No, I was not here.
Okay, well, yes. Let me share this then. This is from the Tradewinds newspaper. So it reads that a special meeting of the Legislative Assembly at the Georgetown Town Hall, 10 a.m. on the 17th of August, sought to remove the elected members of the Executive Council, the Honorable T.W. Farrington and Captain Eldon Cockernell, and have them replaced, right? Says this came about as a result of the publication of a government notice number 84, dated the 24th of July, 1967, whereby members of the Legislative Assembly learned that constitutional amendments relevant only to the civil service department had been accepted by the executive. So it means that people were not informed of it, not the other elected members as well. It says the Cayman Islands Constitution Order 1965, Section 53 and Sections 53 and 54 reads, and I quote, "The administrator, in Her Majesty's name and on her behalf, may constitute such offices for the islands as may lawfully be constituted by Her Majesty, and subject to the provisions of any law in force in the islands, may make appointments, including appointments on promotion and transfer to any such office, and any person so appointed shall, unless," I gotta find the cursor. I lost everything. Let's see if we can find it. Yes, got it back. So, and it says, shall, unless it is otherwise provided by any such law, hold office during Her Majesty's pleasure. Subject to the provisions of any law in force in the islands, the administrator may, for cause shown to his satisfaction, dismiss or suspend from the exercise of a public office or take such disciplinary action as may seem to him to be desirable. However, according to Section 9, the administrator is required to consult the Executive Council in almost all circumstances. In making necessary amendments to the Constitution of the Turks and Caicos Islands, the Secretary of State and Commonwealth informed the administrator that the position of the Cayman Islands was essentially the same. The Secretary of State proposed an amendment whereby the administrator would not be obliged to consult the Executive Council in exercise of the powers vested in him according to Section 53 and Section 54. He would still be free to do so in appropriate cases. The general effect of the amendments were to remove the public service from the sphere of political influences and or interference by legislators who are members of the Executive Council. Goes on to say that when the administrator received the draft order, he referred it to the stipendiary magistrate for his comments. In his reply, the stipendiary magistrate stated that the proposed amendments affected the public service only, and that the public service is and always must be kept outside of politics. When the draft order was submitted to the Executive Council for consideration, they agreed with the amendments, but suggested that in order that the burden of responsibility should not rest solely on the shoulders of the administrator for longer than necessary, and also that a small public service commission should be formed as soon as possible to deal with all aspects of the civil service, from recruitment to dismissals. The order was passed by Her Majesty the Queen on June the 28th and became effective July 5th, 1967. When the meeting was called, Mr. Warren Connolly opposed His Honor the Administrator, who was presenting the chair, in favor of the Deputy President. The motion was supported by Mr. Benson Ebanks, but was overruled. So they wanted to remove the administrator from the presidency of the Legislative Assembly. Mr. Warren Connolly set out his resolution, and it was seconded by Mr. Cradock Ebanks and supported by Ms. Annie Borden, Mr. Burke LaBush, Mr. Claude Hill, Mr. Benson Ebanks, and Mr. Richard Arch. Opposing the resolution were the Honorable T.W. Farrington, Captain Eldon Colonel, Mr. Burns Ruddy, Mr. Anton Borden, Mr. E.U. McNamee, and Mr. Spurgeon Ebanks. This particular resolution would have required a 2/3 majority vote in order to succeed. It was thereby rejected. So that's a bit of history for us, folks. Top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. Please stay tuned. When we return, we will have additional panelists in the studio. Lots to talk about. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time by Foster's is 8 o'clock.
All right, class, pay attention. School is back in session, and it's time to get back to school ready with Foster's.
Foster's is embracing school spirit with all the essentials like backpacks, stationery, lunch kits, and more.
And online, treat yourself to our useful back-to-school lunch ideas at livewell.fosters.ky to turn fresh and healthy into full and focused.
And any parents hoping to spend more time at home, there's always fresh delivery from Foster's Go.
Think you got all of that? We'll test you on it later.
Get ready for a great fresh start with Foster's.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Carsley Fuller. The government commits more than $2.1 million to assist with housing repairs. The Honorable Acting Premier, Juliana O'Connor Connolly.
I was happy to call a special caucus meeting to consider a second housing repairs program, keeping Caymanian families safe, secure and comfortable in their homes is a priority of our administration.
This follows Cabinet's approval of an additional $550,000 to expand the existing Housing Repairs Assistance Program. The first program is under the Ministry of Innovation and Social Development and provides housing repairs to Caymanians who are financially supported by government and who are either elderly or disabled or who have children in need. Since May 2021, the program, in partnership with R3 Cayman, has repaired 88 homes in Grand Cayman. This second housing repairs initiative is being administered by the National Housing and Development Trust and will complement the efforts of the existing program, allowing additional persons to receive much-needed assistance. The United Kingdom government publishes a list of individuals who have forfeited their UK reason for the return of the former Premier and Speaker of the House's OBE as, quote, criminal conviction. Earlier this month, in a Facebook post, the Honourable McKeeva Bush wrote that he was appointed as an officer of the Order of the British Empire by Queen Elizabeth II for his work in the community and success of the Cayman Islands government 26 years ago. At the time, he said, quote, as a strong advocate for Cayman having its own honor system and national heroes to celebrate our collective history, heritage, and values as a society and culture, quote, I found myself conflicted about retaining an award that doesn't promote Caymanian excellence, but rather one that many people believe celebrates imperialism and perpetuated a system of class and privilege. Mr. Bush says he formally wrote to the responsible bodies in the UK to surrender and return his award in January and has now received confirmation that his request was approved by the King. According to the United Kingdom government, however, the official revocation of Mr. Bush's OBE was due to, quote, criminal conviction. This list was published on Tuesday. And the rainy weather is expected to continue today as an upper-level cyclone drifts west of our area. And we aren't the only ones getting wet. National Weather Service forecaster Shamal Clark.
The Cayman Islands National Weather Service continued to monitor Tropical Storm Franklin, which at 4 a.m. was located around 150 miles southwest of Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. Tropical Storm Franklin is moving north at around 10 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. On the current track, the storm is expected to move over Hispaniola today and over the Atlantic by Thursday morning. Today, the forecast is calling for partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a 60% chance of showers and some thunder. Showers may become locally heavy at times, leading to localized flooding.
Heavy rainfall from Franklin is expected to reach across much of Hispaniola tomorrow and is expected to produce significant and potentially life-threatening flash and urban flooding as well as mudslides. It's also taking tropical storm conditions to portions of the Dominican Republic and Haiti, where tropical storm warnings are in effect. There are also tropical storm conditions expected to hit Turks and Caicos later today. The Department of Education Services says they're staying the course. Today's student orientation sessions will proceed as planned. The DES says it didn't get any reports of adverse weather, and based on their information, the unit feels it's safe to go ahead with the sessions. Now with a check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Carsley Fuller.
BBC News with Moira Alderson. India's Chandrayaan-3 spacecraft is making its descent to the surface of the moon. It's trying to land near the South Pole in an area strewn with craters and boulders. A similar mission 4 years ago ended in failure. Russian state media is reporting that General Sergei Surovikin has been sacked as the head of the Air Force. He hasn't been seen in public since he was linked to the mutiny by Wagner mercenaries in June. President Putin has told the leaders of China, India, South Africa and Brazil that the growing influence of their BRICS group will lead to a multipolar world. Xi Jinping backed proposals to expand the group. Police in Pakistan have arrested the owner and operator of the cable car on which 8 people were stranded on Tuesday. They're being investigated for not having a permit, endangering lives and negligence. Ukraine says Russian attacks have destroyed more than 250,000 tonnes of grain over the past month. Russia has been targeting ports and silos in an attempt to reduce Ukrainian exports. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
As a general rule, your septic tank should be pumped out by a professional every 3 years. During hurricane season, however, it is important to keep your septic tank at least partially full to keep it from floating or collapsing during a storm. For more useful hurricane preparedness tips, visit the Water Authority's website at www.waterauthority.ky or follow us on social media.
Through the Rotary Club of Cayman-Brac, on behalf of the District Governor David Kirkcaldy, we, Rotary Central, the Rotary Clubs of the Cayman Islands and the Lions Clubs community, join our sister islands, Cayman-Brac and Little Cayman, pausing to pay our respects to salute the passing of a citizen of note. This humble, gentle, genteel man of committed determination toward good, this engineer, photographer, Morse code and wireless operator, pioneer in the development of Cayman telecommunications, devout Christian, church elder, entrepreneur, patriarch of Tibbetts Enterprises at Cotton Tree Bay, pillar of Sister Island social and business development, a storyteller, Brac historian, D. Bernard Tibbetts, Mr. Bernard, this man of Caymanite resolve, this giant now rests. Our heartfelt condolences to Miss Vernice, James, Jonathan, Paul, Matthew, the Tibbetts family, and our Sister Islands community. Mr. Bernard, you have left this path much better than you found it. Rest in peace.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
The Department of Lands and Survey is pleased to invite the community to their Customer Appreciation Day on Thursday, the 31st of August from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Government Administration Building on Elgin Avenue. There will be refreshments, prize giveaways, and demonstrations. The Lands and Survey Customer Appreciation Day, Thursday, the 31st of August from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Government Administration Building.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 83 degrees. Relative humidity is 87%. The barometric pressure is 1008.7 millibars. The wind is out of the east at 10 knots. Overnight low temperature was 80 degrees. Synopsis indicates scattered showers are expected to continue through today as an upper-level cyclone drifts west of the Cayman area. Moderate winds and seas are expected for the next 24 hours over the Cayman Islands as the pressure gradient tightens across the northwest Caribbean. Satellite images show scattered areas of thunder showers over the northwest Caribbean, moving northwestward. The Cayman Islands National Weather Service is monitoring Tropical Storm Franklin, which at last check was located at 120 miles southwest of Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. Tropical Storm Franklin is moving north at 10 miles per hour, with maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. The current track has a storm moving north over Hispaniola today and into the Atlantic Ocean by Thursday morning. The National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, is also issuing advisories for Tropical Depression Harold, which poses no immediate threat to the Cayman Islands. If you need further details, you can visit www.nhc.noaa.gov. Now the forecast for today calling for partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a 60% chance of showers and some thunder, and showers will be locally heavy at times, leading to localized flooding. Temperatures today will be in the low 90s. Winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts in and around heavy showers. Seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Pretty much the same for tonight, partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a 40% chance of showers and thunder, and showers will be locally heavy at times, leading to localized flooding. Temperatures falling to the mid-70s tonight. Winds will be east to northeast, 10 to 15 knots, with higher gusts in and around showers. And seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet for tonight as well. Today's high tide will occur this afternoon at 3:53, low tide tonight at 9:52. The sun will set this evening at 6:46 and will rise tomorrow morning at 9 minutes past 6. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Thursday morning as Tropical Storm Franklin emerges over the Atlantic Ocean from Thursday. It is expected to strengthen. As it does, cloudiness and moisture will stream across the Cayman area, feeding the development of Tropical Storm Franklin. This would lead to continued isolated to scattered showers and thunder activity from tomorrow evening through the weekend. Additionally, high tides will contribute to the increased risk of flooding of low-lying areas.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. Don't lie on your resume. Because if you say you've got trapeze experience, someone might shoot you out of a cannon and expect you to do a gymnast routine while flying through the air at 82 miles an hour. And just because you want to land on your feet doesn't mean you will. But if you're smart, you'll have CG medical insurance, so you get the best coverage for the price.
Get the best coverage for the price. CG Brit-K. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
The 8:12 a.m. weather report brought to you by CG Brit-K, where people come first.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Change your thinking. Change your life. Practicing forgiveness is a healthy habit.
As pastor and best-selling author Gary Chapman wrote in his book, The 5 Love Languages, How to Express Heartfelt Commitment to Your Mate, forgiveness is not a feeling, it is a commitment. It is a choice to show mercy, not to hold the offense up against the offender. Forgiveness is an expression of love.
Change your thinking. Change your life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by Encourse Cayman. Visit encourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. Encourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. Encourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. On Course Cayman. Health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at traffic. Traffic is heavy coming off of the Esterly Tibbetts Highway. Slight delays expected. And also on Northstown Road, traffic steady. Heading towards the Industrial Park area, steady but flowing traffic. And traffic is steady coming off as well off Bobby Thompson Way. Slight delays expected. And off of Agnes Way off the Linford Pearson Highway. As we turn our eyes to the east and Shamrock Road, traffic is steady but flowing, and steady traffic on the Linford Pearson Highway. On Cool Road, traffic is steady heading to Georgetown, and eastbound traffic on Cool Road is moving along moderately. And on the Westway Road in front of the Ritz, traffic is moderate in both directions, and traffic flowing at a good pace coming from the Westway four-way stop. As we turn our eyes to Godfrey Nixon Way and Eastern Avenue, flowing moderately in both directions. No issues on Owen Roberts Drive as traffic is light. Please drive with extra caution and look out for the car in front of you and the car in the back of you. That's the very latest on your traffic. Remember, click it or ticket.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline. Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Hey, Bill, glad to see you back in the office.
Who?
Bill.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I think you're mistaking me for someone else.
Tom.
Nope.
Jack.
No.
Alex.
No. Want me to just tell you?
Nope, I got this, George.
No, you don't. Still not me.
Adam.
Not even close, man.
We're like a coworker that didn't forget your name. CG Britke. Good like that.
Okay, good to see you, Mike John Sean.
It's Mordecai.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. As promised, we have a panel in the studio with us. That panel is comprised of Minister J. Ebanks, Minister Sabrina Turner, and Parliamentary Secretary and Member of Parliament, Mr. Isaac Rankine. And in the studio with me still, also Dr. Steve McField. So folks, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here this morning.
Good morning, OC. Good morning to Grand Cayman. Good morning to my fellow Cayman Bracas. It's happy to be here with you all.
Good morning, OC. Good morning, Dr. Steve, and also good morning to the whole Cayman Islands. It's a pleasure to be here as well, to OC.
Pleasure to have you here as well. And we're going to let Minister J kick off the discussion and tell us some of the things that we're going to be discussing. And I just want to say to our listening and viewing audience, with the limited phone service that we do have, there will be a point in the discussions where we will open up the phone lines for you to dialogue with your representatives as well. So, Minister Jay, over to you.
Thank you, OC. Last night we were, as a caucus, got together and we realized that there's this big thunderstorm that we had with us, and we wanted to. I've had hundreds and hundreds of people reach out to me about needing help, and we had to call an extraordinary caucus yesterday to try to move around some funding to be able to get out there to help the people for home repairs. I am so happy to say that between ministries of the needs assessment, NAU, and the National Housing Development, in total we have actually came up with, be able to put out there almost just over $2 million for home repairs. I think it's a great start to help the people out that are in desperate need of help right now. We'll definitely be continuing to monitor this as we go along, and if it seems like we do need more, I'm pretty sure that the government will be committed to actually finding some more resources for them. OC, we know we had a lot of flooding around the central Georgetown, West Bay, pretty much the whole island, I can tell you. I got calls from east to west, and NRA crews has been out on the road from all the way up to 11:30 last night, when I got a call from the director, Edward Howard, telling us that he had just pulled the crews off of the road and they were going to be starting back this morning. Along with the fire service, I'll leave that for my minister next to me to be able to talk a little bit more how they actually came in and helped assist the NRA crew, but it was a great work of showing how ministries get together on a need of at such a short time to be able to respond for the people. So I just want to let the people know that they will be seeing a lot more of the NRA crews out there, all our pump trucks. We've actually went out and rented more pumps that we need to put in some of the low-lying areas to help move a lot more of the water faster to help us out. It's a good thing that we've implemented our drainage program that we had going on to be able to service all of the drain wells throughout the whole island. That actually helped us a lot because a lot of them were already cleaned and ready for the hurricane season. A lot of the culverts were already cleaned out, ready. So the culverts, we actually were, especially the Randike culverts, were actually moving really good yesterday. The water was flowing. There was a culvert in West Bay about 3-4 weeks ago that we just cleaned out in time to move water around. Some of you all may have seen a story that was out in one of the news companies that had wrote a story about NRA getting stopped by DOE for cleaning a culvert out. But if we didn't do that, we would have been in a problem right now. We had to make sure that we can get these culverts cleaned out so that these people, to relieve them with the stress of the water that they have going on. So you would continue to see the crews out throughout the whole day today, moving around and assisting homeowners where they need the help and assist. If there is, I urge people to contact NRA and let them know if they haven't seen any of the crews in their area yet, so that we can make sure that the crews are coming out to them, that we're not leaving nobody behind. But I do know that last night they were in the most vulnerable areas, really, that was where the water was most threatening to people going into their homes. There was a lot of work that was being done in the Marina, Red Bay, Prospect area. That was a huge area that needed to be tackled. Between myself and Minister Turner, had a meeting on Monday or Tuesday of this week of how we're going to try to deal with the stormwater management for Prospect and area. And we're just hoping that once that proposal is finished, that we could start that this year. We'll have to go to the Department of Environment to get them to work along with us. Reason being that the design that we're actually coming up with is that some of the water that we're trying to move, we're going to have to move it to a lift station and have a lift station pump the water into the North Sound. So they may have to go into some of the canals that are there to just relieve this large volume of water settling throughout the Prospect area. there should be design work done shortly that we could actually post on the websites so people can see what's going on. As soon as we're ready, we'll reach out with Minister Turner so we can have a meeting in her area. And I must tell you, she has been on top of me from day one about dealing with the stormwater management for her areas. And what was the other lien that's out there?
Mahogany. If you know the terrain quite well, Mr. Connor, and thank you, Minister, there is a natural soakaway that runs parallel to Coconut Village, which is in the middle of Poindexter Road coming out behind Seafa Field,
right,
and Mangrove Avenue. For years, that has been a natural soakaway. But of course, with development and poor, I would say, laws or stronger laws with teeth, that pretty much mandates once development occurs that the necessary infrastructure is put in place to assist with storm management. That had never been addressed. So what we have found is that around Tarpon Circle, that natural soakaway is at capacity. Development has happened in the back of persons' residential properties where you would have elevations of up to 8 feet in development, which has created a natural basin. Anyone understanding the layout of the land in Prospect and Red Bay, because of how the boundaries are, you would have realized that there was a tipping of Mangrove Avenue, pretty much pushing the water through Ammon Avenue, through Longmead, and it automatically would go to Domino Street, to Mahogany, to push it back to be absorbed in that natural soakaway. But with the development, what has happened, they have filled in some of the natural soakaway without putting in culverts, without putting in a lift station, and there is right now a backup, and there is nowhere for that water to go. What we've also found out is that on the opposite side, east of Poindexter, that's affecting the backyard of those on Norfolk, better known as the Frank Hall subdivision, that is also a natural, huge, big soakaway. And that, again with development, is causing flooding to people's backyards. So we have to find a way of releasing this pressure, keeping people safe and dry. Outside of dealing with that, the government will be saddling the potential of persons being displaced from their homes. And we want to make sure that we take care of the people. This has been a long-standing issue of Prospect. The water table is too high. I know persons have gotten upset with me, saying I'm not moving fast enough with putting in drains. But what happens in some areas where drains have been installed is that even when it's dry weather and there's no rain, high tides, there's water coming out of those drains like geysers.
The water table is so high.
Exactly. So that is not an option based on the dynamics of the Prospect and Red Bay constituency. It has been talked about. It has been promised from post-Ivan. We realize that this is a growing problem. We see what happened yesterday. I'm no meteorologist, but obviously we had a microburst. And based on the amount of rain that came down in such a short time, there was high tide. Without a proper waste management system, as the minister alluded to earlier, there's no way those drains could have accommodated, and knowing that we had rainfall from before. So all of the resources, as we was noted earlier, with the assistance and collaboration with the NRA crews or fire crews, I'm so grateful for my ministerial team of Home Affairs. Regiment was out doing assessments. Fire came out. They were ready and waiting. We used a tanker to go out along with the pump crews because there was no way to blowing no drains. It was high tide. So they were able to suck out those waters to try and alleviate the pressure. But so what we were doing manually overnight in some of these areas within the Prospect Red Bay area that we had huge representation from. We saw videos as well of cars floating, people hydroplaning and all this sort of stuff. And then we saw that representation. So with the assistance of the crews, we got them out as quickly as we could to the most vulnerable and affected areas. But we have gotten to the point as an elected government that there's no longer going to be a talk when it comes to dealing with this issue. we're going to actually make something happen. And the key is to keep people safe and dry.
And then I would imagine that going forward as well, that you would look at some of the planning issues that need to be addressed
yes,
as
sir.
well.
Long overdue, and you have the right minister here as well.
That is correct. Well, see, actually, we are looking right now at the legislation now to try to update the planning laws. It's just, when it comes to planning, the legislation is so large, and, we won't, with the, we're at the pace of the Attorney General to get things going and get that out to get it back to Cabinet. So I'm hoping that in the first part of the new year, we can actually start to see some changes to the planning laws coming shortly, and to be able to sort out this problem. Because one of the thing about the laws is that it actually talks about that you're responsible for your water on top of your property. But when development happens in that one particular property, and that one property was a soak away for everyone else, and that gets built up, what about that rest of that water? Where does that go, right? And the law doesn't talk about that. So what we need to do is make sure that when developers are building out these properties that are low-lying, that were soakaways, that they are going to be responsible for the water to be able to move around somehow to get to the direction of the natural flow where it used to go.
Okay, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we're going to hear from Member of Parliament and Parliamentary Secretary, Mr. Isaac Rankine. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN money transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
Stop kicking that old washer or dryer and stressing out. Brand Source Home Gallery is having an August laundry sale. Save up to 15% on all brands. That's right, save up to 15% on GE, Samsung, LG, Beko, Frigidaire, Electrolux, and even heavy-duty commercial washers and dryers, both gas and electric. Shop Brand Source Home Gallery in August and find the island's largest selection of washers and dryers and save during the August laundry sale. Visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park or call 623-5000.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Further to the passage of the Education Amendment Act 2022, schools must develop policies to prevent bullying and create a welcoming and safe learning atmosphere for students. If you have reason to believe that your child is being bullied by another member of the school community, encourage them to report it to an educator, allowing them to respond quickly to protect our children and ensure their well-being. Learn more at gov.ky/education.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. For those of you just joining us, want to let you know that we have in the studio with us this morning, in addition to Dr. Steve McField, we have Minister J. Ebanks, Minister Sabrina Turner, and Parliamentary Secretary and Member of Parliament, Mr. Isaac Rankine. So we're going to hear from Mr. Rankine at this point in time as well. And we want to, send out our sympathies for those persons in East End yesterday who unfortunately lost their home as well.
Thank you, O.C. And thank you for offering sympathies to the member of my constituents. See, yesterday, just touch briefly on that. Yesterday, we got a call because we had a thunder and lightning storm, and I understand that lightning struck a house while occupants were in it, and they were sleeping. 6 members of a family, and caught the house on fire. Some of the family members had to be treated for smoke. Inhalation, and were taken by emergency services of HSA, but I believe that they all have been released. I haven't been able to check with them yet this morning, but certainly I'll be checking up shortly. But it was just a situation where that the emergency responders did very well. I was pleased with what they did. Other members of the community reached out, and of course the government support, and ensuring that the necessary services are reaching the people that are affected. Now, just going back now, following on to Minister J and Minister Turner, they've pretty much covered some of the issues that we were experiencing, getting a lot of calls on yesterday. Mm-hmm. What we did yesterday in the Extraordinary Caucus was by no means something not to brag about, because we stayed in that caucus and we left there about 8 o'clock, 8:30, and we worked to ensure that we got this done in order to provide relief to the people out there who are experiencing issues with their roofs and stuff like that, flooding in the Prospect area. And I was glad to see how the cross collaboration between ministries, between the Ministry of Innovation and Social Development, between Ministry of PAHI, Ministry of Home Affairs, and certainly I'm very supportive of both these ministers because they're very hard workers, and it so happens that I'm also the Parliamentary Secretary of both of them. So
we're grateful.
I am pleased to be working with them. I know Minister J, Minister Turner, and like I said, they put their backs into it when they're doing anything. But in East End, while we are experiencing some of the same issues with repairs that needs to be done, we didn't have an issue with flooding per se. But certainly, if we have rain like this over another day or two, I know that we'll have issues in some of the lower line areas. Plans are being made with NRA through Minister J's ministry to put in some pumping stations, and we're hoping that they'll do that soon to alleviate some of the flooding issues that we'll be experiencing sometime down the road. And we do hope that we won't ever get to that issue like what Prospect was experiencing yesterday because of so many various situations, scenarios. But what I do know is that we worked great yesterday as a team because we needed to do that, and we've done it on many other occasions. And I was pleased with my colleagues yesterday and what we achieved.
Now, these pumping stations, that's going to be a permanent fixture within these areas?
Yeah, so the one that we're looking at for Prospect is actually going to be a permanent one. We're looking at also coming up with one for the Randike area also. That will help with those really low-lying areas to be able to move the water a lot faster than just gravity feed it as it's been doing now. And the design that we're doing for the ones in some of the other areas that aren't as prone to be water flooding as much will probably be more of a setup where we can actually put in one in the time of need instead of having one there all the time, where whereas it'll have to be serviced and maintained in the full time. Whereas during hurricanes, we have an area where we could set up that we could hook up a pump and move the flow of the water as we need it to be in those areas. So we'll see. Yeah. So there, I take my hats off to my NRA team. I mean, the guys are out there. They're working hard. The guys they were in the rain yesterday when everybody was in dry shelter. They were running around with their boots up. Also the fire service. I mean those guys, they really responded in the time of need.
Exactly.
And we must applaud them for their efforts of all the hard work they've been doing.
Definitely.
Mr. Connor, sorry.
Sure.
Representation was also made along the east-west arterial with the new expansion and roadworks that's ongoing there, and people reported the settling of water in the middle of the road. I drew that to my colleagues' attention, and the solution that is actually proposed there, those roads were designed exactly for that. It would be a collection place that will be taken out by culverts and again pumped out into the respective appointed areas. So when people saw that collection of water in the middle of the road, again along Norfolk and Adventure Street, the east-west arterial heading east, Rex Creighton Boulevard, their concern was, oh my God, that's going to spill what we would in the U.S. I guess would call spill its banks, come into the road and flood our backyards even more. It is actually designed for that. The NRA crews are putting in the necessary infrastructure now that would actually tie into the longer term vision that will all tie into this pump station, as the minister alluded to, that will solve a lot of the flooding problems that Prospect has suffered with for pretty much its existence. Another takeaway from actually resolving this settling of water in these natural soakaways, you always hear, oh my gosh, the mosquito infestation within the peninsula, within the Prospect community. With the release of all of this water from this natural soakaways, it's a win-win because we will have less breeding of mosquitoes as well. So there's a lot of win here, and it's not that we're a government where we would actually sit in the cabinet room and make these decisions without proper consultation and guidance from the various other government stakeholders. Our problem is responding at pace because we want to be in a position where it shows that the people who have elected us to do our role, that we can do so in an efficient manner. But in this particular case, when we're talking to drainage and flooding, it is cheaper in our long term to keep people safe and dry than from not putting in the proper facilities and infrastructure to have to relocate them, house them. To me, it's a no-brainer.
Absolutely, she's 100% correct. And what she was talking about with the water, moving the water across from Frank Hall, across from the Rex Creighton, we've actually put a culvert in there so that water will actually move. And what it does is, if you see the middle of the Rex Creighton with a lot of water settling into it, that's the water that's moving across from one side of the road, and it trickles down and it goes and it feeds until it can get across to move over to the North Sound. So people seeing the middle of that road flooding is thinking that, oh my God, that water is going to be stuck and it can't go nowhere, but that's not true. The water actually is designed to be able to flow over to the next side of Rex Creighton.
And they have to appreciate the fact that when you have so much water coming down at one point in time, there is no way that you can avoid water settling, even if it's for a short period of time, because it has to move. One of our listeners is curious to know when you spoke earlier in your opening comments about the additional funding, whether or not people will have to make fresh applications for assistance, or whether or not those persons and those applicants who are already in the pipeline, will they be given priority, or will there be a triaging situation whereby you look at those who are most needy and deal with those first?
So I can speak from the NHDT side. I can't really speak from the needs assessment side, how their housing repairs will work. But what I can do is, let me just go back to help on the needs assessment side, is that if you are a member registered with the needs assessment, you will have to go through their housing repair program that they have. Because what we wanted to do is we wanted to make sure that we weren't doing needs assessment was doing your house, and then you were coming to housing to, and we were doing your house at the same time,
Got
right?
you. Uh-huh.
So if you are registered with a needs assessment, then you need to go to the needs assessment to get your house repairs. If you're not with the needs assessment, so you can actually be able to be part of, especially those, we still have a few people that are on the list from Grace that are still on there that we need to try to help. Some of them may have moved on, but this is time now that we can call because we have the funding, say, hey, have you got these repairs? No? Well, we're ready to come out to send a contractor out to look at your repairs, remember? But what we want to keep in mind, this source of funding, this first initial funding, is to be able to dry in homes.
Okay.
So this isn't to help you throughout the whole building of your inside of your house. What we want to do is just get you as dry and safe.
Yeah.
If there's an electrical problem that needs to be fixed in house, we'll take care of that because we want to make sure you're always safe in your house. So that's what this money is for. So there is a small backlog left with national housing to get forward with, but we are taking new applications at the same time. I will have my team email out the forms today to all of the representatives so that they can have a copy to keep in their house, their office, to be able to help assist anyone that's within their constituency that needs help. If you need a copy also, you can actually come directly to the housing, fill out the form, and hand it in at the same time right there. And as quickly as possible, we'll try to get you out the door and get you fixed. With housing, we're requiring that we have to get 3 bids from 3 different contractors to do your repairs, depending on how large the repair is. If it's a small repair, then we can probably move forward with just 2, but we try to get 3 contractors.
Okay, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
There you go, sir. Thanks for choosing JN Money Transfer.
Boy, thanks to JN Money Transfer, I can stay right here in Cayman and pay mama bills back home in Jamaica. Her water, light, phone and other bills never late. Every month I pay everything in one place.
Make payments to over 30 companies in Jamaica through JN Money Transfer. Fast, affordable, convenient. Call 1-800-744-1163 for details.
Since March 2004, West Bay Pharmacy has kept their doors open to the local communities, even before, during, and after Hurricane Ivan. At West Bay Pharmacy, our staff provides so much more than pharmaceutical excellence. From the moment you walk through our doors to completing your cash out, our staff will have put your healthcare concerns at ease. We would like to take this moment to thank our loyal friends and customers. To us at West Bay Pharmacy, our patients are our primary concern. We provide thorough background checks and precise calculations to ensure your medical safety. Thank you for being a part of our family and for choosing West Bay Pharmacy, where we care about your health.
In order to facilitate pipeline improvement works in the area, Water Authority Cayman wishes to advise motorists and other road users that the westbound lane of Old Joe's Way between Breezy Way and Owen Roberts Drive will be closed Wednesday, that's tonight, August 23rd from 12 a.m. until 4 a.m. Traffic signs will be posted in the general vicinity, and all motorists are asked to drive with caution to ensure your own safety as well as that of the Water Authority staff. The Water Authority appreciates the patience and understanding of the motoring public and do apologize for any inconvenience this may cause.
A few drops of blood. That's all we're asking for Step 3 of the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey. These will help to measure the national prevalence of raised blood sugar and cholesterol, which will shape our healthcare services, our interventions, our prevention and education programming. Help us shape Cayman's healthcare services. Say yes to Step 3. For more information, contact the STEPS team on 936-4969.
To have love now.
Friends of Ja Mitch come out to support a special live music fundraiser at the Hartwell Theatre Saturday, September 2nd from 7 to 11 p.m. Free admission for all, but donations welcome to support the recovery efforts for one of Cayman's legacy musicians, Ja Mitch. Performances by Swanky, 5th Division, Heat, Sugar Daddy, and the J.R. Douglas Band. Proudly sponsored by the Caymanian Times, Young Blood Productions, CNCF, Love Culture, Reflections, and Radio Cayman. The Friends of Ja Mitch live music fundraiser at the Hartwell Theatre. Free admission Saturday, September 2nd from 7 to 11 p.m. Attention all gaming enthusiasts, cosplayers, and technical aficionados. Experience the highly anticipated revival of the Caribbean's premier esports and gaming convention, taking place on September 30th and October 1st at the John Gray High School Gymnasium, Gamers Bay 7. A captivating 2-day extravaganza. Prepare to immerse yourself in an unforgettable event filled with excitement and innovation. Competitors, come showcase your skills and vie for over $10,000 in cash and prizes. Engage in exhilarating head-to-head battles in popular games such as Fortnite, PUBG Mobile, eFootball 23, Rocket League, and Super Smash Brothers. Renowned YouTubers Beck Bro Jack, Adam Beck, and Alec Duras will be there. Cosplayers Carrigan Taylor and Windy Girk will be there too. Lots of free play opportunities catering to PC gamers, retro players, console enthusiasts, arcade lovers, and yes, virtual reality enthusiasts alike. Don't forget the plethora of vendor booths to purchase exclusive items and deals. For further details, including general admission tickets, registration for individuals or teams, please visit gamersbaycayman.com. Sponsored by the Cayman Esports Association, NetGeeks Media, Ministry of Innovation, Ministry of Sports, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Tourism, C3 Pure Fiber, Monster Energy, Digicel, Sagicor, Maxtor, Costuless, Cayman Olympics, Enterprise Cayman, Prestige Motors, High Tech Electronics, ATV Cayman, Office Supply, and Radio Cayman. Gamers Bay 7.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. It is our pleasure having the studio with us this morning. Parliamentary Secretary and Member of Parliament representing the District of East End, Mr. Isaac Rankine, Minister Sabrina Turner, and Minister J. Ebanks. For our listening and viewing audience, we have opened up the phone lines. They want to hear from you. They want to take your calls. We're going to ask each caller to please be as brief as possible because they want to accommodate as many callers as possible during this segment of the show. So the phone lines are open. Ms. Susan, which 949-6990 is working. Our toll-free number is not working at this point in time. I believe we do have a caller now, Ms. Susan. Do we have a caller? We have a caller. Let's hope that the phone lines work. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Not too bad. Good morning to the ministers as well.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
It's really refreshing to listen to the proactive approach they've been taking, and working with helping out the people of the island, and not just their immediate constituents. But having been in the development business for over 35 years, and having volunteered for the Ground Master Transportation Plan back in '88, and made a lot of suggestions in the past, I'm completely floored as to why people keep ignoring them. I'm going to once again repeat myself, and I'm going to use some examples. So I'm going to try to be as quick as possible. But when you're flying in, so for example, first example is when you're flying into Miami and you are approaching the airport and you look down, what is it that everybody sees around the homes? Miami, and I use Miami specifically because of the same geographical type scenario that we have in terms of flatlands, way and swamplands. Mm-hmm. And so, in the interest of time, I'm basically going to say you're going to see lakes, man-made lakes, houses surrounding man-made lakes. They're not just there because they use them to dig the fill out of it to fill the land. They also use them there as what you call stormwater runoff. Mm-hmm. We continue to approve developments and subdivision areas that are all swamp, and we require them to have a LPP, land for public purposes, of 5%. But we don't require them to put in stormwater runoffs. Now, my suggestion is because most people don't use this LPP anyway, and the way the law is written, developers will do a little sliver to where it's non-usable and maximize the development. We all know if you leave the business side of things to their own, they're always going to maximize their ROI, which is fair. But we have to be more conscious about this. So my whole point is, you need to when you allow, there's a massive development, a couple of developments going on in the South Sound area right now that they're going to be filling in a lot, and some have actually asked for modifications to approval. And part of that is to take away a lot of the natural drainage. These are the things that we have to be hard and fast about. Otherwise, we're just going to keep on multiplying this. Yeah. Secondly, the NRA keeps building these roads and they're putting in these medians. Again, every road you see in Florida, every off-ramp you see, around the circle, you will see that there's a pond. Now, for case in point, you have a massive problem, and you've had it for many years, and I've actually suggested it multiple times, and I'm going to suggest it again. Right in front of the Rubis gas station, right there by Countryside, you have a massive flooding problem there anytime you have major rains. I lived there for many years. Dig a hole in those grassy areas, and you can still leave them as grass, but if you reduce that, put that 3 feet lower, and you leave it and then regrass it there again, that during the storm season times, that can actually hold the water and becomes a temporary pond, as opposed to the reverse, which is pushing the water back onto the road because it's higher than the road. All right, these are simple little fixes. 7 Mile Beach Road, where we have tourists being splashed by cars, I was told, we can't put no more drain wells because we got sewage treatment lines, we got optic lines, we got fiber optic lines, we got comm lines, power lines. Here's what you do. Every commercial property has to be at least 20 feet away from the road, and every commercial property has to have a 6-foot sidewalk and a 4-foot landscape strip at a minimum. Some have more, right? You approach the owners of these properties and go, listen, we have this strip here. Let's dig a hole and put in septic tanks, or in this case, it would be septic tank size, containment containers there for stormwater runoff with a deep well onto it. So that instead of this massive puddle that's going to be on the road there, splashing all the tourists and making it dangerous for driving, hydroplaning, and everything else, that water would go in there. It's underground. It's not going to affect, therefore, all of the fiber optics on the main roads, and you would have some temporary relief. And then you can get your vacuum trucks to go every pre-storm season or pre-rainy season to vacuum out these vaults, and everybody else is happy. The roads are safe. The tourists are not getting. We're not having a bad impression on tourists, and the actual businesses don't have to worry about their customers or having to wade through all kind of water. It's going to have to be a combination of working with them, but they can't come back with a straight face and say, you have to compensate me for putting a tank inside of my property line. But that's just, I have more of this, and as far as Prospect Park is concerned, as well as Bottom Town by the Guardhouse Hill and all that, there are empty vacant lots that the government is going to have to purchase if they really want to fix this problem. Yes. They're going to have to purchase and excavate them into a lake, like literally go down 20 feet like you do a quarry, because it's too late now. The horse is out of the barn. So the next best case scenario is going to be do that, put a wall around it, but at least now they have somewhere where storm water can then run off and be contained in a certain area. In Prospect, the same way. I grew up in Prospect since 1969. My house was the first house in Mahogany Way, so I know Prospect well. And you're going to have to dig and create lakes on a piece of property, pay the people what they need for it or what have you. That's not developed, and at least you have some stormwater runoff. Otherwise, you're not going to get water to go any lower than the natural level. And that's as long and short of it.
Caller, thank you very much for that. We're about a minute before we go to our headline news, and what I can do is pose this question in the meantime. One of our listeners wanted to know that they say that they're aware of the whole issue of storm surge, and that the hazard management Cayman is involved with that as well, and they wanted to know, how does hazard management factor into this in terms of storm surge, not necessarily coming from the sea, but simply from rain that we have had, similar to what we had recently as well. So when we return, give you an opportunity to respond to that as well. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly. We want to remind you also that we have our WhatsApp number, 925-3261. You can try that number also if you're having difficulty on other lines. We can accommodate one caller at a time on that WhatsApp number, 925-3261. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Health Services Authority and the Ministry of Tourism and Transport.
The Department of Education Services student orientation session scheduled for today will proceed as planned. The DES says they didn't get any reports of adverse weather, and based on the information, the unit feels it's safe to go ahead with today's sessions. India has made history with a South Pole moon landing. The lander touched down on the lunar surface, making India the first country to successfully land a spacecraft near the South Pole. All previous missions to the moon have touched down near the equator, but exploring the South Pole is key to the hunt for water. Scientists now hope to deploy a rover to send images and data back to Earth. You can watch live coverage of the landing at bbc.com. And former U.S. President Donald Trump has been implicated by one of his employees in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case, according to a court filing. An IT director identified Trump employee number 4 in legal documents changed his testimony after switching lawyers, according to prosecutors. He now accuses Mr. Trump and 2 aides of, quote, efforts to delete security camera footage. The 77-year-old ex-president faces 40 charges in the case. Those are your headlines. I'm Carsley Fuller.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The Headline News is brought to you by Health Services Authority and the Ministry of Tourism and Transport.
It's one of the best moments of your life when you welcome your baby into the world. The HSA's experienced women's health and maternity team provides the highest quality of care throughout your pregnancy and delivery. As a JCI accredited hospital, we are the leader in maternal care, safely delivering over 700 babies annually. Visit hsa.ky for more information. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
I'm Liani Tibbetts, Miss World Cayman Islands 2022, and I need your help to keep Cayman clean. When you're out and about, please dispose of your trash in the proper containers. Do not throw trash out of your car or leave it on our beaches. And if you see litter, take a moment to pick it up and dispose of it properly.
Be a part of the solution, not the pollution. Littering is a crime punishable by a $500 fine or 6 months in prison. Brought to you by the Beautification Task Force and Ministry of Tourism and Ports.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We have opened up the phone lines for you to converse with our representatives, our ministers, and our parliamentary secretaries. In the studio, we have Minister J. Ebanks, Minister Sabrina Turner, and Parliamentary Secretary Mr. Isaac Rankine. Phone lines, those that are working, we have a our WhatsApp number, 925-3261 and 949-7990. Is that the one that, yeah? 949-6990. That's the one that you can try as well. So one of our listeners wanted to know the role of hazard management in all of this, as well, in talking about storm surge, and we have the flooding that comes from rain as well, whether or not they're poised to address that issue as well. I think hazard management still falls under
the Premier.
The Premier's ministry.
But they work closely with Home Affairs, and they work closely with all of us, understanding our role once NEOC is operated and hazard management is called for the cabinet to be at an executive level. Right now, they are actually receiving a training. Weird, but that happens. But they're actually going through training right now, and we had a little exercise on Monday 8:30 until minutes to 1. So it's coincidental that we had that burst yesterday, and hazard management, along with other high-ranking chief officers and their assistants, are actually undergoing training at this time. But understanding that they have their own machinery in getting dispensing information out to the public, MOUs and service level agreements with the regiment, the Coast Guard, the police, prisons, Health Services Authority. These things, along with the Minister of NRA and Public Works on a whole, I'm quite sure after this training, they will be here to just, from their perspective, engage and inform the public as to how this all comes together. But understanding storm surge, when tropical cyclones blow through, what the impact from the direction, from the heightened tides to, again, our high water table, just how the Cayman Islands is actually our geological setup and how the hydrological studies are impact residential areas. There are so much pieces of legislation that ties in to one thing, showing that you care for our people. You hear constantly about development, sustainable development, putting the cart before the horse. Where does it start? In the middle of all of this, we have our most valuable assets, our people. Keeping them safe, keeping them dry. And I mean, we have assisted all of these years when construction was booming and giving concessions. Now it's time to take a look at the impact and deal with our people. And that is why we're here today. That is why we were happy by way of a round robin yesterday to get this additional assistance of $2.1 million out to keep and assist in housing repairs, to keep our people dry. And the conversations now are even more robust in definitely getting once and for all proper waste water management systems in place.
Okay. Doc, you have any question that you want to ask our panel?
No. I think the MPs and the PS, the Parliamentary Secretary, is doing what any government, democratic government, should do. They are putting their people first. Any government who doesn't put their people first is not a democratic government. And that is my view. And that's one of the first principles of political science. Your people come first, the people who elect you to represent them, to represent their interests, not the interests of some other people and some other people's interests. So I am so happy to hear that they are consistent in what they got elected for. They have not changed all through the 2 years they have now been in power. And they have to keep pushing the envelope, because there are other people who does not wish us well, and they have to keep pushing the envelope, and they have to look after the Caymanian people. The Caymanian people are good people, precious people. You know, I remember one time when I was a member of the Housing Development Board back in the 80s, and Mr. Jim was trying to raise money for housing, and he was trying to get the banks to put someone into the housing development so he could do low-income houses for some of our people, poor people. And he called me that night and he says, "See, I'm having the meeting tomorrow morning at the glass house in the cabinet room, in the executive council room." And when I got there that morning, Gilbert McLean was the secretary to that board at the time, and all the banks were there, and he outlined the issues he had. And they said, "No way, we are going to give you our customers money to put for poor people, blah, blah." And Mr. Jim said this. He said, I remember him, he said, "Listen, the people's peace and tranquility is the reasons why you came to this country first, to make money. Their patience and their kindness and goodness makes them different from other people. Otherwise, you would not be here." And he says to them, "I still have a majority in the legislature, and if you don't help me, I am going to pass legislation to obtain your help." And the first person who said, "I will put in $250,000 from my bank," was Mr. Duggan from
Nick Duggan.
Nick Duggan. And that is how the board started. But is the peace and tranquility that we offer to other people that makes us different from other people. We are just great people. In other places, we would have all kinds of revolt and riot going on about some of the treatment that our people are receiving. I am so happy that I'm witnessing what the government is trying to do and what they're doing. And so, see, it always happened in my life that I'm in the right place at the right time.
Okay. No, thank you very much for that. Yes. We have a call and we have a WhatsApp. So let's do the WhatsApp first. This person says, I have a question. The Premier has issued a mandate to all chief officers to cut spending effective immediately. How will this affect the minister's proposed works / spending?
Thank you for the question.
Sure,
I don't,
okay.
I've heard that and seen this thing about
some document
about leaked out to the press, with the Premier saying that he's cut, that we should be cutting our expenditures. Well, see, I think within a government, I think what the Premier is looking at as the finance minister, he's trying to make sure that we have fiscal prudency within amongst us, right? That we're making sure that we're not just going out and spending money just to say we're spending money, but we're taking the responsibility to make sure that we are looking at, because we know that things are going to get tighter. We see what the budget could look like. So we just need to make more responsible decisions when we're making, dealing with our finances. I think that's basically what he was trying to tell us, or just trying to say on a whole, right?
But based on what you've told us this morning, it's quite obvious that you didn't have any difficulty in terms of identifying that additional $2 million that was required for that.
A cry came out to us, and we saw the rain. We found $2.1 million to deal with this cry. So if there was a problem with spending and funding, it would be hard for us to just go out and find this money.
Exactly.
So I kind of disagree with that. I think that is just that's something that has thrown out there, and trying to make news with it. I support the Premier with the decision that we have to be
financially prudent
on the direction that we're going, and we just need to make sure that we're on track, right? Because there are some large projects that we want to see delivered for the people of this country.
Okay, we're going to grab the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, OC.
Good morning.
Good morning to the doctor there, and good morning to your honorable panel. I spoke briefly, I think it might have been last week, concerning the Constitution, and members should get familiar with the Constitution, but it seems like your honorable members there are very familiar with the Constitution, the section where it says that whatever, I don't think, Doc can you give me the
section 16
wording, whatever that political is being done should be in the best interests of Cayman and the Cayman people. And I really got to congratulate them, because it seems like they have the Cayman people really at heart. But I would like to say that I hope that they can find a way of approving like a little $100 million to the MP there from East End. So I have a lot of ideas up in East End. So I think it'll, a little $100 million could sort us out really nice.
That's a small number you asked for, sir.
Caller, I agree with you, but I would do well with half of that right now in East End, sir.
Always heard you go big or go home. Oh, so you see the big pot I'm using?
I saw that photograph there. Yes,
go big or go home.
Yeah,
that's 55 pounds in there.
Yeah, I have my board meeting today, so I'm gonna miss it.
Yeah, caller, is certainly I do get support for a number of initiatives in East End from all of my colleagues around the table, because when we're doing anything, one of the first questions asked, how does East End benefit? And that's my first and foremost priority. While collectively we have responsibility for the Cayman Islands, it's the people of East End that gave me an opportunity to represent them, so I advocate and fight on their behalf, first and foremost.
Well, just remember, whatever you guys do must be in the best interests of Cayman and the Cayman people. Even if you give a Cayman status to outsider, it must be in the best interest of the Cayman and Cayman people. Doc, am I right?
That's right.
That's right. You taught me well.
Absolutely right.
All right, Lord Graham, thank you.
All
Thank you very much.
See you later.
We're going to go to commercial break. I'll just read a few of the WhatsApp messages that we have, and then we can cover them when we return. This person wanted to know whether or not they will be helping anyone with shutters. So that was one. I think the other one is I don't know if you can check the WhatsApp message on there as well. So we're going to take the commercial break, folks. Please stay tuned. When we return, the conversation with Minister Sabrina Turner, Minister J. Ebanks, and Parliamentary Secretary Mr. Isaac Rankine will continue. Don't change that dial. Please stay tuned, and remember that the phone lines are open as well.
A few drops of blood. That's all we're asking for Step 3 of the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey. These will help to measure the national prevalence of raised blood sugar and cholesterol, which will shape our healthcare services, our interventions, our prevention and education programming. Help us shape Cayman's healthcare services. Say yes to Step 3. For more information, contact the STEPS team on 936-4969.
West Bay Pharmacy. Personalized medicine, customized care to meet your specific needs. Your body is unique to you. Your medicine should be too. Whether you're seeking individual specific medication, correct size dosages, or simply better tasting medicine, ask your pharmacist or healthcare provider about how compounding at West Bay Pharmacy can increase your treatment options, not only for your family, but for your pets too. West Bay Pharmacy, open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m., Sundays and most holidays from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Get ready for more with Digicel's all-new prepaid plans. More any-use data to browse. Entertainment data for Netflix, Spotify, YouTube, and TikTok. Plus, stay connected with endless social data for Snapchat, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. With Digicel's new prepaid plans, you'll never miss a beat. Activate in the My Digicel app today. Digicel. Better connected.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old girl this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Further to the passage of the Education Amendment Act 2022, schools must develop policies to prevent bullying and create a welcoming and safe learning atmosphere for students. If you have reason to believe that your child is being bullied by another member of the school community, encourage them to report it to an educator, allowing them to respond quickly to protect our children and ensure their well-being. Learn more at gov.ky/education.
Here's another message from the Department of Education. The student orientation session scheduled for today, the 23rd of August, will proceed as planned.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. I'm going to remind our listeners, well, I'm telling them now, I'm not reminding them, that our panelists, they have to leave. They have to run off for another meeting. So this is going to be the last segment. When we go to the next commercial break, they will be gone after that. Minister Ebanks, we had one question about the shutters, and then we have one about the land in East End for farmers as well, and then someone wanted your number, and I know that you're not shy about giving up your number on the radio as well.
916-4249.
Okay, and we're going to give all of you an opportunity for some closing comments, and it is quite possible that on Friday morning we will have a few of you back on again with us.
Absolutely, OC. Yes, I just want to thank you. I had a 9 o'clock appointment, and I'm about 20 minutes late now.
No,
by the time I get there,
you came on time. You're on time.
No. I usually put my clock 15 minutes in time. So right now my clock is telling me I'm 30 minutes behind on time now. But I would love to come back. I want to come back on your show on Friday because I think there's a numerous amount of topics that we need to hit, and a lot of stuff in agriculture that we haven't talked about. A lot of stuff in housing and transport, off-reg. There's a whole aspect of a lot of things that we really, really need to get out. We have had too many silent victories within ourselves, and we are not getting our communication out to the people to make them know what's happening, right? And that is a fault on pretty much probably all of us as ministers, but it is needing the team to be able to help us get this communication out. I must say I'm very happy that my CEO, my chief officer, has put together a very good quality team within the PAHI ministry, and we have some new communication people are coming on board, so we can start to get a lot of our stuff out to the public, letting them know. But just going back to shutters, at this point in time, this funding I don't think should be allocated for shutters. But what we want to do, what I've been asking that to see if the Premier would commit, is almost putting back in something like the Nation Building Fund that the governments had previous years before, because I know at that time that was to be able to help people to put on shutters. And I must say that at the time when they did shutters, I still got people in Northside that had shutters on their home that was almost 25 years ago that I didn't have to help with plywood because they can still lock up there. So that money was well spent at that time. Just to talk about the land, agricultural land in East End, the agricultural land let me start back with the land lease policy was passed in Cabinet last week. That was the first time that's been almost 25 years in the making, this land lease policy. We have permission to put the roads in for the land in East End. We're working with Lands and Survey. Their team is scheduled to be out there at the end of the month to start to identify where the roads are going to be going into. So as soon as we can start to push this road through, we are going to start to lease this land out to the farmers to start to take food security in this country a lot more serious.
Okay, I'm going to ask if you could accommodate one more caller before you go. Can you?
Sure.
Let's grab the caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, Mr. OC, and good morning to the government members.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
It's Johan Moxham. Hope all is well with you guys.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I just got to say, it's really impressive to see a collection of you on radio supporting each other and spreading a unified message, because we're always being told that you guys are one day away from falling apart. So, it's a welcome sight as a citizen. I was just calling in on two issues. Forgive me. You guys are obviously working on a lot of things and PR. You're there now spreading the gospel and sharing the message with us, which is great. But as a concerned citizen and as a Caymanian, the two questions I have is, what exactly is being done to close the floodgates that were opened up by the previous PPM government, where LCCLs are now being given out like Skittles to any and everybody? When it's so easy for everybody to get a LCCL, that directly competes with your Caymanian-owned majority businesses who effectively are missing out on opportunities. But it's one thing to be aware of the issue. What exactly is PAC doing to address that? Because that has to come to a screeching halt, along with the global citizen sort of things, whereby people are just coming in here because you've got money. And once you got money, you start competing with multi-generational Caymanian-owned businesses who probably don't have that level of credit line or liquidity, and so on and so forth. So that's the first question. The second question is, not everybody here that comes here on a work permit should get a work permit, should get PR or get status. So what exactly is being done to address the population growth, whereby everybody that gets a work permit assumes they have a God-given right? Most of them don't integrate with anything called Caymanian or show any respect for Caymanian people, Caymanian culture, Caymanian history, but we've made it relatively easy for them to purchase real estate, walk a dog, pretend to know a local, and then all of a sudden they become Caymanians. So what exactly is PAC doing to address that? Because we are a minority in our own country, and here's the sad thing. I speak my mind. I don't afraid nothing in this world. Nothing scares me because I don't do anything wrong. But if our elected government aren't implementing and amending policies to protect Caymanian people, what exactly is the purpose of all of this, and why were you guys elected? Because the last crew, and if they were to get back in power, we've seen what the PPM will do, and they'll do worse next time. So what are you guys doing to give Caymanians and the next generation of Caymanians a chance? Because now I'm not living for me, I'm living for my children. And if we don't matter here, what's the point of all of this? So those are two questions. Thank you very much, Jen.
Thank you very much for that. We may have to tell Johan that he may have to tune in again on Friday to get the answer to that. But in your closing comments for all of you, you may want to.
I just want to answer
it.
very quickly on that LCCL one, right?
Mm-hmm.
That has been something that's been bothering me from the get-go that we came here. I just cannot fathom why in this day of age that we have to be giving an LCCL license to individuals that want to come here to do work here. I could understand that back in the 90s and the 80s when we really need expertise.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Cayman has all the expertise and finance.
Yep.
We don't need that anymore. I wrote an article with Luke about sometime last year to put a moratorium on LCCLs. But I don't want to get too far into it because it falls under another minister and another ministry. But I'll ask him, and I'll pass it on to that minister to see what he's been doing about that, to see how he's been slowing down the LCCS. If it was up to me, I would have got it and stopped it all completely altogether. But I'll leave that. And Doc, you're the man that was in charge of looking at the point systems for the work permits.
Yes.
And I know we had this conversation just offline, just about 2 minutes, so maybe Johan was listening to us then too. But you can give a full update since you're the man that's leading that for the government too.
Yeah, we'll do that. Once you
we'll do that.
Minister Turner.
Yes, thank you so much for this opportunity and understanding that we're limited for time because we have other commitments. But I must say that we're the people of Prospect and the wider Cayman Islands that are being affected by what was impacted yesterday with the floods, including those represented or reaching out to me from even the likes of Tropical Gardens. We hope that by ways of us coming on this show this morning and showing our dedicated to committing to what we have been elected to do, and that serve and hear and act on the needs of the people, will not go unnoticed. And in regards to what the last caller actually posed in regards to the question, and I'm quite sure Mr. McField will expound a bit more on exactly what Works has undertaken. But when it comes to your elected officials and ministers as possible, in particular for our respective ministries, this is really how it works. We identify the issues. We identify flaws or gaps within current legislation or policies. We meet as a caucus, create a paper, go back to our relevant ministries, meet with our chief officers, accompanied by our policy advisors, tell them what we want to accomplish. They go, the policy, your ministry team, your civil servants go, and they research the ask of the cabinet, the government, the elected arm. They then do their findings and report back to the minister. From that report, Mr. Connor, you were cabinet secretary, you should know where I'm going with this. Then that comes back and a decision is made if there's legislative changes or policy that has to be made in law. And then that comes back as a cabinet paper. Cabinet paper to go back out for public consultation in the form of a white paper. We get the community's feedback through that phase. We engage with our relevant constituencies by way of town hall meetings. Now that we have Zoom, we do all sorts of ways of getting this information out there to the people. It is after that information now is gotten back that we decide whether or not it's going to go to legal for legal drafting and then tabled on the floor of Parliament. So, when it comes to what this government is doing in regards to closing the floodgates on global citizen programs, closing it on LCCLs, what are we doing to implement policies and, just revise legislation? The directives is given from your elected arm to your policy people for them to bring it over the finish line in order to impact change. Until those processes actually happen, it's almost as though our hands are tied in being effective in our representing the people. And this is the education process that we have to educate our people that if legislation is needed, we need to then be able to equip and resource and get the right skill set within the relevant ministries in order to be effective in impacting the lives of our people. And I am hoping that through shows like this, persons like ourselves coming on and just educating our people exactly as to how it works. But there's something called, with the cabinet decision that was made yesterday in that paper, with the decision made yesterday by way of round robin, there's something called novus actus intervenes. If there's ever anything of that Latin phrase being used yesterday with the decision of us coming together at very short notice and realizing and answering the needs of our people, we can use that to justify our acts. And as long as it's in the best interest of our people and the welfare of our people, you have a government that will stand for just that. I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to coming on your show. I am more than happy and willing to come back once it deems to give more information on my relevant ministries. Let me take this opportunity as well to thank the Fire Service, my Chief Officer, Mr. Michael Ebanks in Home Affairs, and the regiment for acting and pivoting so quickly yesterday in collaborating with the NRA crews and in keeping our roads safe. Again, to the people of Prospect, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for your continued support. I will not disappoint.
Okay, and I just want to say to you that what we plan on doing for the next half an hour until 10 o'clock, Dr. McField and I, we're going to look at the Constitution. We're going to share with our listening and viewing audience those provisions of the Constitution that relate to the appointment of ministers and ministerial responsibilities as well. Mr. Rankine, opportunity for you for some closing comments.
Thank you, OC. I also want to thank my colleagues yesterday for how quick we were able to respond to the needs of our people. And certainly you all touched on something earlier in terms of what we do for our people. But I always keep saying a lot of the decisions that we take or don't take today is affecting us down the road. Sincerely believe in that. But I also want to thank the responders who came out for the unfortunate issue in East End yesterday for the fire at the home. I was pleased with the way that they came out and assisted that family. Thank also people from NAU, DCFS, and all the other members of the community that responded. But certainly, with the amount of reviews going on, a couple of callers touched on it in terms of what are we planning to do in terms of the people that is coming and living here. Immigration reviews happening, being led by Dr. Steve, and I'm certainly looking forward to the recommendations coming from that committee. But at the end of the day, there's a word in Swahili called peponi. Means paradise. This is our piece of paradise. We need to do what we must to protect this for not only ourselves but for our children and grandchildren. And I leave you that, OC. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, thank you very much. Look forward. You said you're going to be back on Friday, and Minister J. Ebanks, and hopefully we'll bring someone else along. Minister Turner, we have
no pressure.
Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we will still have Dr. Steve McField in the studio with us. Please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
So much happening so fast, too much. It is hard for me to follow my health care instructions. The private counseling with West Bay Pharmacy literally saved my life.
At West Bay Pharmacy, we know how complex medications can be. Our pharmacists are delighted to offer you personalized one-on-one healthcare counseling, free medication review, therapeutic callbacks, and we will liaise with your physician to ensure you receive the best in quality medical care.
Quality of life has a whole new meaning with the right pharmacy to support you. Thank you, West Bay Pharmacy.
West Bay Pharmacy in Centennial Towers. Convenient quality care is just around the corner. Now you can WhatsApp your West Bay Pharmacy prescriptions to 516-0777.
Did you know that you can send money transfers to financial institutions anywhere in Jamaica with JN Money?
You mean I can send money straight to my account and cut out the middleman?
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. You send your own money to your own account, giving you peace of mind that the money is in your account.
JN Money Transfers to Financial Institution is another convenient service offered by JN Money. You can have this done from any JN Money location. Deposit your money straight to your account without the hassle of asking someone to do it for you. JN Money Transfers to Financial Institutions, making life easier.
Level up your back-to-school game with Digicel. Activate a Prime bundle or sign up for postpaid for a chance to win big. Win weekly prizes of $1,500 plus Winner Circle and office supply gift vouchers, plus the grand prize of $5,000 for your school of choice and a MacBook just for you. Stay connected with Digicel and let's make this school year unforgettable. Terms and conditions apply. Visit Digicel.com for more details. Digicel, better connected.
Christian Enlightenment Center in our new location on the waterfront is celebrating 46 years. Can you believe it? 46 years. For the rest of this month, we're offering a 15% discount store-wide. Yes, everything is 15% off at the Christian Enlightenment Center. School supplies, Sunday school materials, Bibles, journals, everything 15% off. We're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6 at the new location on North of Church Street beside the Burger King on the waterfront in Georgetown. 945-1252. Christian Enlightenment Center. Gifts for life.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. Our two ministers and Parliamentary Secretary, they have left. Look forward to having some of them back again on Friday as well. Meanwhile, Minister Turner left us with a Latin phrase, Novus Actus Intervenens. It is Latin for a new intervening act. And it says here in the law of Delict, 6th edition, Neitherlings states that a novus actus intervenis is, and I quote, an independent event which, after the wrongdoer's act has been concluded, either caused or contributed to the consequences concerned. And then there's a question in relation to what are the 3 types of novus actus intervenens. It says this is sometimes referred to as an intervening act, and such acts can be divided into 3 categories: actions by the claimant himself, actions by a third party, and natural events. So, Doc, for law school, lots of Latin you have to know as well. So I'm sure that you're familiar with this terminology as well.
Yes. And for the caller who wanted to know what the government is doing about the immigration problems and the problems of people's able to obtain LCLs so easily. The LCLs are not my priority because they come under somebody else, and I have no mandate to look after them.
And if we could explain what a local company's control license is.
It's the local company control license. It's the license to give people who are not Caymanians the right to do business in Cayman, to do business to compete with Caymanian business for a certain amount of time.
And in the absence of that, they would have to enter into.
In the absence of that, they would have to go enter into the 6-40 partnership. That Caymanians would have to have 60% of the shares, 60% of the ownership, and the expatriate would have, or the non-Caymanian would have to have only 40%.
And in 1972, when that law was designed, it was we were in our developmental stage at that point in time, looking for capital to come into the country, but also with the recognition that there were certain categories that were there for Caymanians, and you had to make a strong argument to be exempted from that 60-40 relationship, to say that you could obtain a local company's control license that gives a foreign or a non-Caymanian 100% control of that company. But you had to show extenuating circumstances. You had to also show that you're not competing against other Caymanian companies. Now we see, and in those days, you saw it for development of hotels. Then we started to see, and then of course you had the two oil companies. You had Shell in Cayman, you had Esso in Cayman, you had Texaco in Cayman. They all were grandfathered into the local company's control license. But then we saw it starting to creep into
every other thing,
construction, apartment buildings, stuff like that. Things that were directly competing against Caymanians.
Yeah, exactly. And the an LCCL should only be granted in circumstances where you come in to do some temporary work.
Yeah.
For instance, if you're coming in, say, to install a new generator for CUC, and it's going to take you 4 weeks or 5 weeks or 2 or 3 months, you get an LCCL to do that.
Yeah.
Because we don't have anybody in Caymania doing that work. That's what an LCCL is for. It shouldn't be for 20 or 30 or 40 years to give you a right to come and build apartment buildings when Caymanians can do that themselves, or to put down supermarkets when Caymanians can do that themselves, or to do all of these things, put down medical clinics when Caymanians can do that themselves. It's not. It was not there for that sort of for that sort of stuff. You see, so that is not my forte. I don't have any mandate from the elected government to look after that. But I have mandate from the elected government to look after the immigration side of it. Now, when you look at the immigration, when you look at the law, Section 16. Now, Section 16 of the Constitution gives the Caymanian elected government the right to pass a law to say that they can control people who enter the Cayman Islands, the terms of the entry, where they should live, what kind of business they should be in, they can be in, they're allowed to be in, their movements within the country itself, of anyone who's not Caymanian, and that is not discriminatory. Because right now we hear, they run off and they go to court, they take us to court, and they say it's against Article 8 of the European Convention Bill of Rights, that we discriminated against them, and so forth and so forth. And what about the rights of Caymanians? Our constitution, we have the constitutional rights also to protect ourselves, and especially to protect our immigration. And that is what the elected government gave me the mandate to do as chairman of a committee called the Point System Review Committee. So for the caller who called above that point, we are reviewing, or we have reviewed the immigration law as it relates to status through the point system committee, through the point system, and we are going to try to submit our report to the government at least by the end of September. And I can tell you, it's going to be a robust review, because we have spent so many months doing it, reviewing this part of the immigration law, and we were asked to appear before the elected caucus, and when we went before the elected caucus and we reported to them what we had done, the things that we had accomplished, they said it was not enough, and that we should go back to the drawing board. And we went back to the drawing board, and I can tell you that some of the things that we are doing, they are not going to get any more points for walking dogs, and they are not going to get any more points for buying property, because you can buy your property. If you want to live here, you should go and buy your property, and where you in a designated area where you want to live. We are not going to give points for that. And so what has happened the whole attitude of the sort of lackadaisical attitude in which people were allowed to come and work and stay, and there's not going to be any automatic right to stay to become a Caymanian after you have been here for 8 years or 9 years. There's not going to be any automatic right to do that, because that has not helped us. That has not helped us along. In fact, it has the abuse that has caused, and some people have displayed outrageous abuse of economic power to deny the Caymanian people their historical and their legal rights, and their unwillingness to understand this, or our civil rights, is what has put this problem into the limelight, and has caused sort of antagonism between certain people who are not Caymanians and Caymanian people. And if you look at the attitude of some of certain people that they habitually display in a country which try to adopt them as their own, they refuse to integrate. They refuse to assimilate, and their attitudes continues from the countries in which they come, and they enforce those attitudes here, which is against what we see as not compatible with our culture and our history. And you can see the dichotomy or the contradiction that brings, and we are going to we are reviewing that, and we are going to make amends for that, because we cannot continue to this haphazard growth of in the country without restraint.
Okay,
and that is one of the main tenets of the review that we are conducting.
Okay, Doc, we have to take that commercial break. Last commercial break. We do have one caller. We're going to accommodate that caller as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Stop kicking that old washer or dryer and stressing out. Brand Source Home Gallery is having an August laundry sale. Save up to 15% on all brands. That's right, save up to 15% on GE, Samsung, LG, Beko, Frigidaire, Electrolux, and even heavy-duty commercial washers and dryers, both gas and electric. Shop Brand Source Home Gallery in August and find the island's largest selection of washers and dryers and save during the August laundry sale. Visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park or call 623-5000.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Dress for success and demonstrate school pride by learning and following the National Dress Code Policy and the specific dress code for each government school. Under the National Dress Code Policy, boys' hair must be neatly groomed and of natural color. Uniform shirts must be neatly tucked in, undergarments concealed, sneakers or shoes black, and jewelry limited to a wristwatch. Take pride in your stride today. View the complete dress code policy at www.gov.ky/education. This is a message from the Ministry of Education.
In order to facilitate pipeline improvement works in the area, Water Authority Cayman wishes to advise motorists and other road users that the westbound lane on Old Joe's Way between Breezy Way and Owen Roberts Drive will be closed tonight, Wednesday, the 23rd of August, from 12 a.m. until 4 a.m. Traffic signs will be posted in the general vicinity, and all motorists are asked to drive with caution to ensure your own safety as well as that of the Water Authority staff. The Water Authority appreciates the patience and understanding of the motoring public and do apologize for any inconvenience caused.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning. We're going to take our last caller before we get into some other short discussions. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor and Mr. McField.
Good morning. Good morning.
I wanted to support everything that Mr. McField is saying there. I have said a few weeks ago that this isn't necessarily about not encouraging persons to visit and want to live in our islands, but it is more about preserving our Caymanian heritage and making provisions for our Caymanian people, because we are only geographically, we're only a certain size geographically, even combining our three islands, and we cannot afford to continually allow the progression to go as it's going, and our people are being put to the side or being left behind. In terms of the permanent resident, I remember in the 90s, and I may have said this on the show before, I remember in the 90s that in order to qualify for permanent residence, one would have been able to purchase property, yes, but it would have been in very high figures, where that left the market for Caymanian homeowners, that the properties were available that Caymanian homeowners or aspiring homeowners would have had access to the dream of being a homeowner or property owner.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're out marketed in this market. I'm hearing daily, the affordability, or I should say the unaffordability of property accessible to Caymanians. And what will we have to leave for our generations to come, unless we were born into a family that have generational properties. And I support Mr. McField there. I've had people come to me and say, hey, with certain organizations, they persons that are applying for permanent residence are just bringing forms to certain organizations and just getting them signed
Mm-hmm.
in order to show for their permanent resident application that they've complied with certain qualifications to apply for permanent residence, and that should not be. There should be a way. I guess Mr. McField sounds like he's going to try to solve this particular problem, but there should be a way.
At least make the recommendations.
At least make the recommendations to the elected government.
Right. So there should be a way that, that they could demonstrate, hey, I did perform this community service for a certain amount of time or whatever, but the recommendations Mr. McField sounds like he's proposing there, they sound workable. I think, someone said to me also that we should revisit the Caymanian protection law from way back when, and that may be another consideration to do. I know, Mr. Connor, you were a past chief immigration officer, and you were very instrumental in many facets of protecting our shores and our islands, and making sure that we will not be a people that in less than no time we will have no existence,
Mm-hmm.
because from the way that it's looking, that's the way it's going. For the size of our islands, we cannot continue. We welcome visitors, we welcome investors, we welcome people who want to move to the island and live here, but geographically, there's only so, even if you put in new roads and develop, the swamp lands and everything else that's there, it will still not be enough where we can secure and stabilize for our Caymanian people and for generations to come. So we have to look at it now, and we're what I call the crossroads of the history of the Cayman Islands, and I want to implore the government, this government, whether there'll be a new government, that we need to seriously sit down. I'm so glad that Mr. McField is taking this on, and whoever is supporting behind him, because we really need to do this now to preserve our heritage for our people.
Certainly.
Well, ma'am,
yes, sir.
despite all of the vilification you've seen in the newspaper, and I just want to make this quite clear. I do not answer to people who hide behind autonomous images and behind curtains, social curtains, and social and political curtains. I speak to people before their faces, and I have debates with people who are intelligent enough to have debates with me. I do not speak to people who hide anonymously and attack and throw vitriol anonymous. I do not recognize those kind of people. Yes. But I just want to say the trivialization of such an important matter as the overpopulation of this country, and by mass immigration, demonstrates the disrespect that some of those people have for our people's existence and for our benefit. And that is going to stop. And it's not going to be so easy now as some community service. It's not going to be so easy as that anymore. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a tougher problem. It's going to be what we say controlling our immigration system, and those recommendations are going to the elected government caucus soon. And I hope that they are going to adopt those recommendations. They're going to put them into use, because some of the people here, the way they treat us is a condescending approach to our values and our cultural perspective, and we do not like that. And I hear that every day on the radio, on this radio, other radio stations. I hear that every day, and we are taking the bull by the horn, and we are making the rules now to guide our people as far as that aspect of our law is concerned for the next 30 or 40 years.
Caller, I want to thank you. Thank you very much, for your comments as well. I want to also thank the listener who forwarded me an article from the Cayman Compass that was written by James Whitaker, that was published on the 30th of September 2021, and at that time speaking about the fact that more than 70% of the applications from businesses seeking to operate in the Cayman Islands without majority local ownership had been approved over the past 3 years. And at that time this is in 2021, there were currently around 250 businesses operating in the jurisdiction that have been granted local companies control licenses, exempting them from the legal requirements of having majority Caymanian ownership. And it says that a large portion of those, almost a third, are for property holding or real estate development. So I want to thank that listener for sharing that, with me. And I would encourage those of you who are listening and watching to Google that article. Go back to find that article, Caymanian Compass, written by James Whitaker. It was published on the 30th of September 2021, to see what we're dealing with. We sort of gave you a historical perspective, on this before, and we know that the companies, when the Caymanian Protection Law and its accompanying legislation, the Trade and Business Licensing Law and the Local Companies Control Law were introduced in 1970. Well, it's the law of 1972. They were debated in 1973, came into effect. That there were few companies that were grandfathered in. As a matter of fact, the big oil companies, this would have been in the I'm trying to remember now, Miss Berna Cummings was the chairperson of the Trade and Business Licensing Board at the time when we had the big issue with the oil, the fuel companies here in the Cayman Islands, and I think it was like a Christmas weekend, and they were threatening to close down all of their stations because they were being challenged in relation to their local companies' control license and whether or not they were operating outside the remit of that, because their license gave them the ability to import, to store, and to sell oil products or something of that nature. And the whole question of them engaging in the service station businesses
was not
and
envisaged.
Getting a percentage of the sandwiches that were sold, the chocolate candies that were sold and stuff like that. And they were the ones that were grandfathered into that. But we see now over 250, and this is in 2021, companies, and it is in real estate, and apartment buildings. We have allowed people to come and not only compete against Caymanians, but actually to run them out of business.
That's right.
And when you do that, if you run people out of business, that's a part of denying them a part of their existence and their identity. That's the first step. So we need to get beyond that. We need to correct that as well. Doc, I want to thank you. Thank you very much for being here with us this morning. I want to thank the ministers and the parliamentary secretary who made themselves available as well. We do understand, and we know that these were challenges that other ministers have had in relation to the separation of their authority and their influence as far as the civil service is concerned. And of course, the what was then permanent secretaries, now known as chief officers, they're there to be the buffer between the minister and the civil service. But we should not lose sight of the fact that ministers are the policy makers. The civil service, they're there to ensure that the policies are implemented. They're not there to make the policies themselves, or they're not there to determine when they will be carried out as well. So what I would say to ministers is that while you want to respect the separation of powers and that line between you and the civil servants, do not let the executive or the executive, Her Majesty's executive, get in the way of you by threatening you and saying that you're crossing the line, that you're going over that line. You have to make sure that you push your points, ensure that your policies that have been collectively determined
by the people who voted for you,
that they are carried out as well. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension, For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, wherever that may be. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and their sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to Worthy Charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling, Dwayne Ebanks at 12:15 for Talk Today. In the event of any more inclement weather, please, please, please be safe. Look out for yourselves. Look out for your neighbors as well. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record, proudly brought to you by
Coca-Cola. Available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery. Inspiring luxury. And JN Money.
From abroad to yard.
Fast, affordable, convenient. Doctors Hospital. Peace of mind is important when life happens. Doctors Hospital. Always there for you. Call 949-6066. And by the STEPS 2023 National Health Survey. Visit gov.ca cayman.ky/steps to learn more. And Cayman Airways, call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel, Cayman's bigger, better network.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
Spread the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.